Hi guys, this is Travis from Scroll Saw Goodies. Welcome back to another episode. We're continuing on our classroom series as we learn to use the program Inkscape to create scroll saw patterns. This is lesson number 7, and we're basically going to be taking the first 6 lessons that we've learned on how to use the various tools and actually apply them as we create a scroll saw pattern. We're going to be making a trinket box or a potpourri box. It's going to have a lot of piercing cuts in the lids so that you could put potpourri in there and it could diffuse into the air. So let's just go ahead and jump in and get started here. I went ahead and launched Inkscape. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to File, Document Properties, and then I'm going to set the document properties to US letter. That way I know that anything that's on the piece of paper will be printed just fine. So let's go ahead and grab our circle tool. We're going to have to create the lid and the base for the potpourri box. So I'm just going to create a circle. I'm going to hold down the control key to constrain the aspect ratio to create a perfect circle. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that circle. And I'm going to come up here to Align and Distribute tool. I'm going to use the first selected option. So I'm going to select them both. And I'm going to go ahead and center them and then stack them. And then once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and group that together. And I'm going to duplicate this group and rotate it. Duplicate is Control D. So let's go ahead and combine both of these, or not combine, but group these so they're one object. I'm going to duplicate that once again. And I'm going to set this one off 45 degrees. Okay, so now we have a kind of a basic shape. I'm going to select both of these shapes, and I'm going to ungroup them because I can't union all of these shapes together when they're in a group, so I got to ungroup them first. So I'm going to use Control-Shift-G, and I'm going to keep clicking ungroup until everything is their own separate elements, and then I'll just select two objects, come up to Path, Union, select two objects, Path, Union. Or you can use the shortcut key Control Plus. I find that a little bit quicker. And we'll just go ahead and combine all of these, or union all of these. Now if we kind of zoom in, you see this little dot over here. This is kind of where everything intersected. We want to get rid of that dot. So a real easy way to do it is just put a shape that covers that dot. Select both objects and union them once again. Okay, so now we kind of have a nice shape for our trinket box or potpourri box. I like that real well. So let's go ahead and start thinking about what we're going to use this for. I have some 1x stock, 1x6 stock available that I could use this to cut with. So let's go ahead and make sure that this thing will fit on 1x stock. Up here is pixels. I'm going to choose inches. And I'm going to lock the aspect ratio. Now, a 1x6 stock isn't actually 6 inches wide. It's more like 5.5 inches wide. So let's go ahead and make it so that it will fit. Let's make it a tish bit less than 5.5. Let's go 5.4 inches. Hit return. And now we have our lid. I'm going to hit duplicate again. There's our base. So the lid and the base. And now we got to start working on the walls of our trinket box or potpourri box. So I'm going to duplicate this once again. And I'm going to make this actually, let's go 5.2. So that it is, let's go 5 inches. That gives a little less than a 1/4 inch. Let's go 4.9 inches. That gives us a little bit less than a 1/4 inch around the entire object. So you can kind of see that. Let's go ahead and just center that in. You can kind of see that it's inset. The top and the base is inset a little bit with the walls. So you'll kind of have a little bit of an overhang. So let's go ahead and pull this. This is going to be our walls. Okay. Now I want a 1/4 inch thick wall on this as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little measuring tool. Just create a little square, and I want that to be a 1/4 inch. So 0.25 by 0.25. So I have a 1/4 inch square. Select both of these. I'm going to go ahead and center them up vertically, but shove that square to the top. And this is just going to be a nice little reference to know that the bottom of this square is exactly a 1/4 inch in from the edge. So I'm going to take the walls here, I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to show you a new tool. Come up here to Path, Dynamic Offset, and you get this little node in the center, and basically this allows you to basically shrink it or expand it, but you'll notice that basically what a dynamic offset will do is we'll make sure that this edge and this edge is exactly the same throughout the entire design. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it toward the bottom of this square. It doesn't have to be exact, but we could get it close. Okay, I'm going to move this square out of the way. We'll probably use it again, so we could go ahead and select both of these, and now this outside area is the wall of our trinket box. Before we create the wall, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this inner part, and we'll talk about what that piece is in a second. But let's go ahead and select the outer wall and the inner wall and come up here to Path, Difference. And now we have the inner wall. So you could cut maybe 2 or 3 of these out of 3/4 inch stock or 1/2 inch stock, either way, but that will create your walls for your trinket box. So let's go ahead and put that to the side. Now this piece will actually be an insert that will fit exactly on the inside of this, and this will be put on the lid. So you put this on the lid, and now they kind of nest in top of each other, and it just kind of keeps the lid in place. But we want to go ahead and just create a ring because we want some piercing cuts. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use this 1/4 inch square again. Let's go ahead and center them up and shove them to the top. And it looks like this piece is hiding the square, so let's go ahead and select it, hit my down arrow, and just like that. Or actually it's my page down, not my down arrow. And let's go ahead and duplicate this again and do the dynamic offset exactly the same way we did previously. So dynamic offset. Let's go ahead and zoom in and pull that in, and now we have a 1/4 inch ring for the lid. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll pull this square off to the side a little bit. We might use it a little bit later. Okay, so this area right over here, it's going to be the ring for the lid, so it nests inside the box. This area here, we could basically cut a design in. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this center one, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep this to the side because I'm going to use that for reference a little bit later. But I'm going to select both of these. Once again, come up to Path, come to Difference, and now we have the inner ring for the lid. Okay, so I'm going to put that to the side as well. Okay, so here's the lid. Here is this the safe zone where we could put all of our piercing cuts. So let's go ahead and just center both of these up. And let's go ahead and select this enter zone. And I'm going to come down here to stroke. I'm going to click it once, and you get the fill and stroke options here. I'm going to come over here to stroke style. And I'm going to come over, I'm going to select dashes. I'm going to select some sort of dash just to kind of make sure that you know that you're not actually supposed to cut there. It's more or less there for reference. So I'm going to just make a 1 pixel dashed, and that'll kind of keep things in perspective. I'm going to close this up because we really probably won't need it again. Okay, so now we could start to put a design on our lid of our trinket box. So let's go ahead and find that design. One great source for designs is dingbat fonts, and I'm going over to dafont.com. It's dafont.com, and actually let's go ahead and show you the main page. Over here we have a number of fonts, or these dingbats that you could choose from. I found this font here, this dingbat font that I particularly liked. It's called Printer's Ornaments. It is located, I'm not sure exactly where it's it's located in Nature. I'll put a link to this in the show notes and in the forum, so if you're interested in this font. But I'm going to scroll down, and I found this really nice one that I particularly like. Oh, where'd it go? It's this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and download this font and install it. Download button is right here. So I went ahead and already downloaded this and installed it. Small a is what we're looking for. So I'm going to go back over into my new document, and I'm going to select my text tool. I'm going to click somewhere in there, and I already have the alphabet and all the numbers in my clipboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in, and you can see I have all the alphabet and numbers in the clipboard. So I'm going to select everything there. I'm going to come up to the text and font dialog box, and I'm going to select the font that I just downloaded. That is called Printer's Ornaments. I'm going to click apply and then close. And then you could kind of, here, let's close up the align and distribute so we have a little bit more screen real estate, but you could start scrolling through and finding the pattern that you like. I like this very first one, so I'm going to go ahead and delete everything but this first one. Assuming I could do it properly. Okay, let's delete all those. And then I just want that one design. And then I could go ahead and enlarge it. Okay. So I think that's a real nice design here. So what I might do is go ahead and shrink this down just a little bit. And I think what we could do is just go ahead and duplicate this, bring this down, use our flip horizontal and vertical, and center these up. And I'm just going to go ahead and select both of these and group them together. No, I actually got to align to distribute. I want to make sure they're centered. So I'm going to group those up. Now that they're centered, I'm going to duplicate them and rotate them out like that. I think that looks kind of nice. I'm going to group those together, and I'm going to enlarge this just a little bit so that it takes up as much space as we can. And that looks kind of nice. So we're going to go ahead and center that all together. Actually, let's center all of these together. Okay. And I'm going to ungroup this because I want this flower again. I'm going to duplicate this flower. I'm going to bring it to the side here. And I'm going to come up here to path. Remember, it's a font right now. It's text. So I'm going to come over here to object to path and make sure that I have complete control over the nodes and how all that works. And then I'm going to come up to path, break apart, and that creates individual elements. I'm going to go ahead and delete these leaves. I'll pull that to the side. And I just want the little flower in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and combine those. So I'm going to come up to path, combine. And now I could probably put this in the center here. Yeah, something like that will look nice. So let's go ahead and I'm going to group these all together into one. And then center both of these. And just make sure that nothing is touching. I'm going to shrink that down just a little bit, just so none of these are actually touching, because I think that would just cause problems. Something like that. Boy, that looks nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and pierce these holes into the lids. So let's go ahead and select everything and start ungrouping until we get all our separate elements. I'm going to go ahead and select one, and I'm going to select the lid. I'm going to come up here to path, difference. And why didn't that work? Oh, I see. Okay. Let's move this out of the way because we don't need that anymore. That was really just there for reference. We might put it back here in a little bit, but that was really just there for reference. So let's go ahead and select one object, then select the back. Come up here to path. Man, path difference. Select one object, then the other. Path difference. Path difference. Control minus is the shortcut key. And there we go. Now we have a real basic design. So let's go ahead and remove the stroke on this one. Remove the fill, I should say. And it's kind of nice to have this as a reference. So I'm going to just go ahead and leave that on there and center this up and then group that together. So now we have the lid, we have the base, we have the walls, and then the little inset for the lid, and that's basically all we need. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of text. Let's go ahead and grab the text tool, and let's start labeling these things. So I'm going to label this top part. This is going to be the base, so I'm going to say base. Let's just kind of zoom in a little bit. Base. Cut from 1/4 inch stock. Let's go ahead and center that up, and we'll go ahead and put that down here somewhere, and let's just go ahead and center it just so it looks nice, and then group that up. Okay, so over here we're gonna put lid. Cut from 1/4 inch stock. I'm going to center that up, and then we're going to go ahead and select both of these and center that and group those together. Okay, now this, let's see, this is these are the walls, so box walls, cut from 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch stock. Cut 2 or 3 from 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch stock. Okay, so let's go ahead and center both of these up just so they look nice and group those together. And then this will be the lid inner ring, cut from 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch stock. And we'll go ahead and center the text, and then go ahead and center this. I'm going to nudge this down just a little bit, and then group those together. And now you have a real nice pattern. Make sure whenever you send out any work, make sure you go ahead and sign it. So I'm going to put my name, pattern by Travis Cook, and I like to put my URL on there, and let's go ahead and put a date on there. Whoop, not 2099, 2009. And let's go ahead and center that. And let's go ahead and give it a title as well. Trinket box. Okay, so we'll go ahead and center that. So make sure whenever you're distributing patterns to put your name on there. And let's go ahead and delete all this extra stuff that we don't need. And if you wanted to write instructions, you certainly can. If you're, that's pretty much it. So when you're ready to print it for yourself, just make sure that this is all on one sheet of paper. Go ahead and do that, and then go ahead and print that out. And when you're done, you can move that to the side and take both of these and put this on the paper. and you might have to do it 3 times, print that out, and then print that out. Okay, and if you wanted to distribute it, you could probably get a little bit more creative with the instructions, because really this outline of this shape and the outline of this shape are basically the same. So just basically say that cut one that's solid for the base, one that's that has the fretwork for this one, and then for this you could probably nest these in together and tell people to do that. And in fact, you might even be able to put all of this together, something like that, and just leave real accurate instructions on how to read the pattern. And you can save a little bit of paper as well as making it really easy to download. So that's basically that. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to create a scroll saw pattern using pretty much everything that we have learned in this class up until now. This is a real nice trinket box. You could put jewelry or potpourri in there. This will make an awesome gift for your friends and family during the holiday season. And the cool thing about designing your own patterns, nobody else in the world is going to have this pattern. It's just going to be you, unless you start distributing it. And if you do distribute it, people are very, very grateful when a pattern designer shares their talent with the rest of us. So it really is a thrill when you see somebody else cut one of your patterns. So I hope you enjoyed this and learned a couple of things or two. If you get one of these things designed or cut, we'd love it if you would share it with the rest of us over at Scroll Saw Village. I hope you enjoyed this installment of our continuing classroom series on how to use Inkscape to create scroll saw patterns. You can find this lesson and others over at scrollsawvillage.com in the Village University forum. There you'll find videos, written instruction, downloadable source material, and of course classroom discussion where you could have all your questions answered. This video series is produced by Scroll Saw Goodies in association with Scroll Saw Village. Be sure to stop by and say hi, and until next time, happy scrolling.